Hello, this is Christine Casey with this week's tour of the Honeybee Haven on the UC Davis campus in Davis, California. It's that time of year when folks are planting their food gardens, including here at the Haven. Today we'll look at some ways to ensure good pollination, the first step to a high-yielding garden. Pollination is the transfer of pollen from the anthers, the pollen-producing part of a flower, to the stigma, the part of the flower connected to the ovary, to create a fruit, nut, or vegetable. Many different animals can be pollinators, but in food production, we rely mostly on bees. Healthy pollinators need a good diet, and this starts in the fall. At the Haven, we sow an annual mustard cover crop that grows over the winter to flower and yield high-protein pollen from February to March. That's when important pollinators such as honeybees and bumblebees are growing their populations for the summer. Another way to do this is to not harvest some of your mustard family winter crops, such as cauliflower and broccoli. Let them flower instead to provide good bee nutrients. Among the first spring crops that need pollination are fruit trees. Early blooming California wildflowers, like California poppy and tansy-leaved phacelia, provide good nutrition for bees at this time. It's also good to include early blooming perennials and shrubs, such as the valley violet ceanothus seen here with the Haven's almond trees. A great way to get started with food gardening and to provide many months of high-quality flowers for bees is with an herb garden. Here's basil, thyme, and oregano. These are three of the easiest herbs to grow, and all will bloom for months on end. Just remember to leave flowers behind for the bees when you harvest the leaves. Honeybees do most of our crop pollination, but they are by no means the only important bee pollinator in the home food garden. Any squash family member, like zucchini or pumpkin, is also pollinated by squash bees. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the two species in a squash blossom. The squash bee's long antennae identify it as a member of the longhorn bee group. These bees are solitary and nest underground, so leave some bare soil near the vegetable garden to make sure they have a place to build their nests. Only the females build and enter the nests. The males can be found sleeping in aggregations in the squash flowers early in the morning. The importance of other bee pollinators is highlighted by the fact that there are some crops that honeybees cannot pollinate. Tomatoes and their relatives, like the eggplant flower pictured here, have a unique structure in which the anthers are covered. Pollen exits through small pores in that cover. This happens when the flower is vibrated. While wind can do this, some so-called buzz pollinator bees can also release this pollen by vibrating their bodies to shake the flower. The pollen sticks to their body and is transferred to the stigma at the next flower they feed on. Two common bees that can do this are carpenter bees and bumblebees. As with the squash bee, leave some bare soil for the bumblebee's underground nesting, or some old logs for the carpenter bees. We've had a food garden of one type or another at the Haven since its creation. One method we've used to produce a lot from a small area is raised beds. Here you can see herbs and peppers across the front, tomatillos on the left, beans on the center trellis, and tomatoes on the outside. This is a 6-foot square bed. Straw wattles are another way to grow a lot in a small area. They're sold at home centers for runoff control at construction sites, but also make a good foundation for food crops. We coil them into a circular bed about 4 feet wide, building up and filling in the gaps with soil as we go. Running an irrigation line through the soil as you do this makes watering a snap. A few months later, we have strawberries on the bottom tier, herbs in the middle, and tomatoes on top. I hope this gives you some insight into ensuring a great yield when you grow your own food. Please share and like if you found this useful. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.